How to lose fat and tone up as a petite, skinny woman. If you've always been petite and naturally skinny like me, you've probably felt totally left out by the fitness world. Everywhere you look, it's all about losing weight, cutting calories, and getting slim. But that's literally the last thing we want. For us, the goal is the opposite. We want to build curves and get toned and actually see our muscles without shrinking even more. When I first started my fitness journey, I had no idea how to do it. I made so many mistakes, from overdoing cardio to under-eating, and it held me back for months. In this video, I'm sharing the 5 most important lessons I learned the hard way. Everything from eating enough to lifting, so you can finally get the toned, strong, confident body you've been working for. And by the end, you'll know exactly what works for petite women and how to make it happen. First point, eat enough to support fat loss. This is the part that makes up a lot of petite women uncomfortable, but it's one of the most important pieces. If you are already skinny and trying to lose fat and tone up, eating too little is one of the fastest ways to stall your progress. I know it sounds backwards, but this is where so many people get stuck. When you undereat, your body holds on to fat and lets go of muscle. That's the opposite of what you want. You might lose weight, but you won't look toned. You'll just look smaller and softer. I lived in that cycle for way too long. I thought constant restriction was discipline, but all it did was drain my energy and make my body resistant to change. Once I started eating enough, especially enough protein and carbs, my workouts improved almost immediately. I had more strength, better recovery, and more motivation. And over time, my body composition actually changed because my body finally felt safe enough to respond. Food is what allows you to train hard, recover properly, and build muscle. Muscle is what increases your metabolism and gives you that toned look everyone wants. Without enough food, you're asking your body to do something it physically can't do. For petite women, the margin is smaller. You don't need extreme deficits or huge calorie swings. Even slight undereating can slow progress. That's why consistency matters more than perfection. Eating enough most days beats under-eating all week and trying to fix it later. If you're constantly tired, cold, moody, or unmotivated, that's not discipline. That's under-fueling. Fat loss should feel sustainable, not exhausting. Eat to support your training, not to punish your body. That's how tone actually happens. Second point, stop trying to lose fat the same way taller or bigger girls do. One of the biggest mistakes petite, naturally skinny women make is following fat loss advice that was never designed for their body type. You scroll through Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, see someone doing intense workouts, barely eating, and dropping weight quickly. And you think, okay, I need to do that. It looks easy, like a shortcut, or getting toned. And you tell yourself, if it worked for them, it will work for me. But the truth is, when you're petite and already naturally thin, aggressive fat loss strategies usually don't give you the toned, defined look you're after. Instead, they often leave you looking smaller, flatter, and honestly more tired and drained than before. I learned this the hard way for years. I believed that the answer to looking fit was simply eating less and doing more cardio. So that's exactly what I did. I cut calories drastically, skipped meals, and piled on extra workouts. And yes, the scale went down, but my body didn't look better. I wasn't seeing definition, I wasn't seeing curves, I wasn't seeing a strong, sculpted physique that I was promised. What I saw instead was a softer, weaker version of myself, tired of all the time, low energy, and frustrated because I was doing everything right and nothing seemed to work. That's because when you don't have much body fat to begin with, your body doesn't just burn fat when you diet hard. It also breaks down muscle. And muscle is exactly what gives a petite body shape, strength, and tone. Lose it and you end up smaller and flatter rather than firmer and sculpted. Petite bodies are especially sensitive to restriction. Your metabolism adapts faster than average. Your energy drops more quickly and your body goes into protection mode. That's why so many petite women feel stuck. They follow all the rules, put in the effort, but their body refuses to respond. The problem is rarely about how hard you're trying, it's almost always about the approach. Toning your body isn't about shrinking yourself further or punishing your metabolism. It's about improving your body composition, slowly reducing fat while building or maintaining muscle. That takes patience, consistency, and enough food to fuel your workouts and recovery. For petite women, even small changes in training or nutrition can make a visible difference, which means extreme methods tend to backfire much faster. The shift for me came when I stopped trying to diet like someone twice my size. I focused on lifting weights, eating enough to support my training, and being consistent without constantly cutting. I started to see results, my muscles began to appear, my energy returned, and my body finally responded because it wasn't constantly in survival mode. The most important lesson, stop chasing weight loss and start chasing strength. tone, and the shape you want your body to have. The scale isn't the goal. Your shape, definition, and the way your body feels is what really matters. Third point, lift heavy enough. This is where most petite women struggle, not because they aren't lifting, but because they aren't lifting challenging enough. There's a huge fear around lifting heavier weights, especially when you're short. A lot of women think heavier weights will make them bulky or thick in the wrong way, so they stick to light weights, high reps, and hope that equals toned. I did the same thing for a long time and nothing changed. Here's the truth. Muscle is what creates tone, curves, and firmness. If the weight isn't challenging, your body has no reason to adapt. Light weights can be great for movement and endurance, but they don't always create visible muscle definition, especially if you're already skinny. When I finally started lifting heavier, not crazy heavy, just heavier than what I was used to, my body changed in ways I didn't expect. My legs and shape, my shoulders look stronger, my waist looked tighter. Petite women actually have an advantage here. Because we're smaller, even small amounts of muscle show faster. You don't need years in the gym to see results. You just need progressive overload, slowly increasing the weight, reps, or intensity over time so your body's forced to adapt. And no, lifting heavier will not suddenly make you bulky. Building muscle takes time, food, and consistency. What lifting heavy will do is replace that skinny, soft look with a firm, athletic one. Focus on compound movements like squats, hip thrusts, deadlifts, rows, presses, and lunges. These movements work multiple muscles at once and give you the most visual return for your effort. Train with intention. If your last few reps don't feel difficult, the weight is probably too light. Toning isn't about burning your muscles or chasing soreness. It's about building something solid underneath. Fourth point, stop overdoing cardio. Cardio isn't the enemy, but for petite skinny women, relying on cardio as your main fat loss tool can quietly work against you. I used to think cardio was the answer to everything. If I wanted to look leaner, I did more. If I ate a little extra, I added another session. If I felt bloated or guilty, I went even harder. It felt productive, but it kept me stuck. The problem with overdoing cardio is that it sends the wrong signal to your body, especially when the food intake is already low. When your body feels like the energy is constantly being burned off, instead of letting go of fat, it holds onto it. Muscle starts breaking down, recovery slows, and your metabolism adapts downward. That's why so many petite women feel like they're doing everything but still don't look toned. I noticed that when cardio was the focus, my body looked smaller but not better. My legs lost shape, my glutes flattened, my upper body looked soft instead of defined, and the more tired I felt, the harder I pushed, which just made things worse. Cardio became a punishment instead of a tool. I'm not saying not to work on your cardio, you can still work on your cardio, but there's different methods to it that works better. The biggest shift happened when I stopped using cardio to earn food or undo eating. Once I let strength training take the lead and use cardio more intentionally, my body finally changed. I wasn't doing less because I was lazy, I was doing less because my body needed space to recover and build muscle. For petite women, cardio works best when it supports fat loss, not when it dominates your routine. Walking, light cycling, short sessions can help with circulation, stress, and overall health. It can even help with fat loss when used correctly. But when cardio replaces lifting or becomes excessive, it usually takes away from the toned look you're chasing. Another thing no one talks about is how cardio affects appetite. Overdoing it can suppress hunger, which makes it even harder to eat enough to support muscle. That's a huge reason petite women stay stuck in that skinny soft phase. Stop using cardio emotionally. Don't use it to punish yourself for eating or to chase control. Let strength training be the foundation. Let cardio support your health, not dominate your physique. When cardio stops controlling you, your body finally has room to change. Fifth point, be patient. This might be the hardest part of the entire process. I know it firsthand, especially if you're used to wanting fast results. Petite bodies don't always change in loud, dramatic ways as fat loss would. The scale might not move much, progress photos might look similar at first, and that can make it really easy to feel discouraged and question whether what you're doing is working. I used to think that if I wasn't seeing huge changes, I wasn't doing something wrong. I'd want to cut calories more, add more workouts, or switch plans completely, but every time I rushed things, I ended up right back where I started, tired, flat, and frustrated. What I didn't realize was that my body was changing, just not in the way I expected. For petite women, progress often shows up quietly. Clothes fit differently, your posture improves, your body feels stronger and more stable. Areas that once felt soft start to feel firm. These changes don't always show up on the scale, but they matter way more Because we're smaller, even a few pounds of muscle or fat make a visible difference, but those changes take consistency, not perfection, not extremes, just showing up and doing the basics well over time, eating enough, lifting with intention, resting properly. That's what creates lasting results. Trying to rush fat loss usually backfires for petite women. Your body adapts quickly to stress, cut too hard, or train too aggressively, and your body pulls back just as fast. That's why patience isn't just a mindset, it's a strategy. One of the biggest mindset shifts for me was realizing that toning up isn't about becoming smaller. It's about becoming stronger, healthier, and more confident in your body. When you stop chasing quick fixes and start building something sustainable, everything feels easier. There's also a mental side to patience. Constantly comparing yourself to taller bodies or dramatic transformations online will make you feel like you're behind even when you're not. Petite bodies play by different rules, and once you respect that, progress feels a lot less stressful. You don't need to shrink yourself to look better. You don't need to rush the process to be successful. Trust consistency, trust strength. Petite bodies may change subtly, but when they do, the results are powerful and long-lasting. If you found this video valuable, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more fitness and health-related content, specifically for us skinny girls. Stay consistent, stay confident, and I'll see you in the next one.